Men are like caged gorillas in this society. This is Tarek Talks, and this is a podcast. So grab a drink, cigar, sit down, and enjoy. Imagine being one of the most powerful animals to roam the earth. Majestic, strong, and feared. Now imagine that same wild beast reduced to nothing but a pet that's placed behind iron bars. Reduced to nothing more than a pet that's subdued. This is the modern man. If only men as a whole realized how feared they were, this would be a huge problem to the powers that be. Instead, the modern man is domesticated. The modern man is transformed from a gorilla to a poodle. He's been mentally abused, mentally tricked into thinking that he's meant to be a subservient lapdog. If only he knew how much the world would fear him if he snapped out of his docile trance. Instead, you have a grown man following their significant other like a lost puppy. He has to get permission to go outside. He has to explain his every move while his wife or girlfriend has full autonomy over her life. She doesn't have to explain anything. She can go outside, hang with who she wants, stay up as late as she wants, with no consequences. She bosses this gorilla around and makes sure he stays in his place. She makes sure he is sedated and doesn't get out of place. We wouldn't want an angry beast. He gladly obliges like a child in fear of the consequences. What's ironic is that this same caged beast is expected to also be the protector. He's expected to take a bullet. He's expected to jump in front of a bus, in front of a car, in front of a robber. He, however, cannot defend or protect himself, even when it is concerning his respect. Instead, he is let out of the cage to protect his woman, and after he does that, back into his cell he goes. Back into his cell like a caged hamster. Society dares him to even make a peep when it comes to his own sanity, his own mental well-being. He's nothing more than a caged beast, tricked into thinking he's weaker than his captors. He, however, is much more stronger, much more capable, physically and mentally. This man has the ability to move mountains, but is instead choosing to spend every waking hour thinking about how he can please his woman. Thinking about whether she will like this or if she will get mad and disapprove. Thinking about if he spent enough money so she doesn't think he's cheap and frugal. Any demand she makes is quickly fulfilled while he has no rights to his own life. His happiness is not important. As a matter of fact, if he even brings up an issue concerning about his happiness, it's considered offensive. He's looked at oddly. He's scared that he might lose her. In his mind, he's inferior to her. In his mind, he's inferior to society. He tries to be as politically correct as possible so he won't offend anybody. Every time he goes against what he truly stands for, the beast inside the cage starts to roar. The fire inside his heart starts to burn brighter. It wants to be let out, let free from the chains. It wants to roam free and build empires. It wants to roam free so it can be closer to its true nature. Active and aggressive is its true nature, its true state of being, but it can't. If the beast is even slightly let out, the consequences can be dire. This constant fear-mongering is not by accident. No, indeed it is not. It is by design. It was designed by a grand architect. Designed by a small elite who do not want their authority challenged. These same elite do not follow the effeminate, soft narrative that they push because they know they will lose their power if they acted that way. They know that all the socially acceptable norms will get them nowhere. That is why they hide in the shadows like a puppet master. After all, A gorilla would have a hard time competing with another gorilla, but he can tear apart a chihuahua. He can tear apart a small poodle with ease, with no hesitation and no resistance. This chihuahua, however, is actually bounds and leaps stronger than what he thinks. I want you to pay attention to the word thinks. There's no weapon more powerful than mental sabotage. Psychological warfare is the most dangerous instrument of destruction. Civilizations, technology, infrastructure, etc. were conjured and made by man, painstakingly. Manual labor, blood, sweat, and tears went into this process for thousands of years. This is somehow offensive to the mainstream narrative. It somehow offends the mainstream and it offends society, even though it is the truth. When the truth becomes offensive, the start of a societal decline begins. With all that being said, some poodles will transform to gorillas and break out of their chains. Some will remain a puppy, carefully tucked into a purse for all the world to point and laugh. You decide. Gentlemen, stay dangerous. Farewell.